not okay. Well, that's not my review of the movie. Little. I was being serious there, actually. I actually had to clarify that. Not okay. A misguided young woman who is desperate for friends and fame fakes a trip to Paris to update her social media presence. A terrifying incident takes place in the real world, which becomes a part of the imaginary trip and offers all she wants. She fakes being in a bombing. It is very similar to a story. We just talked about it very briefly in the top of the interview, which I don't think it would seem to not really influence it that much, at least from her end. Steve Ranzanizzi. Is it Ranzanizzi?
Ranasizzi.
9/11 Kevin.
Ranasizzi. It's the 9/11 Kevin.
9/11 Kevin, baby. Do you know about this, Chris, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It was a pretty, what was it, about 5-6 years ago? And he was on Stern, right? And he was just like, yeah, I fucking lied.
I won't play the audio today because we don't have it synced up, but the audio of him on, so he told Mark Maron, so Steve.
Oh, was it?
Kevin told Mark Maron on his podcast he got very deep about being in the towers on 9/11. And then it came out that he lied, and I think he went on Stern and talked about it. But if you search Pete Davidson very famously lost his father in 9/11. He talks about it, funny enough, with Jim Norton, who you referenced earlier.
Yeah, I was on back when it was Opie and Jim, right?
Just
right
Opie, yeah. It was Anthony had left. It was Opie and Jim, and they talked about it, and it's an unreal listen, like how disgusted they are. But and it's Pete Davidson. You've heard him on the roast, he's taken the joke well, and he's made fun of his dad passing 9/11, stuff like that. But he's like, this is fucking. He goes, this guy's a piece of shit. But he actually, Joe, and we'll get into the review here. He actually says in that thing, I'll spoil it. The one thing he said that will always blow me away is he said he messaged Steve Ranzanizzi that hey, I got into comedy too. I love that you also have that connection to 9/11 and you can use it as your comedy inspiration, whatever. And he said, I always found it weird because he replied to my DM and said, yeah, something like that. And he goes, that's odd. That's weird.
Yeah,
that's a weird reply. He goes, but he's like, I thought nothing of it. He's like, whatever. And he said, then when it came out, he goes, well, that makes sense now. So anyway, very similar story to 9/11 Kevin. And maybe some other things as well. Stars Zoe Deutch, a newer actress, Mia Isaac, in a pretty big role. Also Dylan O'Brien. We interviewed Dylan O'Brien about another movie a few months ago, The Outfit, which Zoe Deutch and Dylan O'Brien are both in as well. A couple of the recognizable side comedic characters as well. I quite enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think the writing in this movie is very sharp. We talked a little bit about in our interview, but there's some very funny. We've talked about this before. Anytime you're referencing current, present day trends, social media lingo, just the way people talk, you can really sound very out of place.
Yeah.
And very, how do you do, fellow kids? And I never felt that at any point with this movie. I laughed at any of the very small, quick, snipe references to, social media culture and, the need for fame. It's kind of two movies in a row where we're talking about spectacle and fame.
Yeah.
The need for it. I liked it a lot. I don't think it's by all means great in any stretch of the imagination, but a low 80s for me. I have it right around another movie that I liked from this year called I Want You Back. That was another rom-com. I give it. I have it at an 83. I quite enjoyed Not Okay. I thought everyone in this was great. I thought Dylan O'Brien was blowing fat clouds all movie.
I'm wearing the same pants that Owen always wears too.
Yeah, the same exact ones Owen wears. Yeah.
I like Not Okay quite a bit. A couple of our fans I know didn't like it. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought this was incredibly delightful. I was surprised that the audience score is lower on this than the critics. I thought this was one of the better fun comedies of the year. It was nice. I like Not Okay. Thoughts, Ken Jack?
I think there's a lot of things about the movie I really liked. We talked about, you're saying, the bit in the interview with Zoe Deutch, but I think her specifically, I think she was awesome. She was painfully awkward in the right moments. And this almost the same way as we just referenced 8th grade before. It reminded me of 8th grade in a sense where they get you in those moments that feel kind of real and how awkward they are. But she was also weirdly sympathetic, which was interesting considering how shitty the main character of Danny was. I think the biggest surprise for me out of the movie, though, is Mia Isaac, the new actress from it. Dude, she crushed it. She was so good in this movie. And the one biggest takeaway from this movie was I can't wait to see her in something else now, too, because she was that good. Dylan O'Brien, like you were saying, hysterical in this. The sex scene crushed me. I was dying laughing when he's like, "Who's my damaged little girl? You are. I'll protect you." Like I was fucking crying laughing at that
douche.
scene.
He was like unreal.
Yeah, he was amazingly funny. I think that for a lot of, I think the easiest way to enjoy this movie is like it's not one that's designed to make you think a ton, and like whether it's on purpose or not, they have a very surface level pass on internet culture. And I think that's fine because it made the movie more entertaining. It's not like a think piece trying to make you do a whole bunch of different things. Just like entertainment level was good throughout it. Couple little references and bits. I saw Mega 64 like 3 different times in the movie, which I love because I watched Mega 64 skits since high school, which is sick. I think the cons for me out of it though are I think the character of Harper was very poorly designed for this movie because she's a dickhead and extremely hateable. So I'm actively rooting against her for exposing Danny, if that makes sense. Okay. And I didn't, I think that was sort of like a poor approach at it because like, I feel like we should be hating, and like the whole movie is kind of representing it. Like you should be hating Danny more. She made a mistake, but you should be hating her more. And instead I'm like, fuck this asshole trying to expose her. She's being a piece of shit. And like she's an asshole the whole movie. And again, I guess sort of on the cons list, it is very surface level. So if you're looking for a deeper meaning into other stuff, you'll be disappointed, but it's entertaining as all hell. I ended up on a 79 for the movie. I would definitely recommend it to almost anyone. A lot of very laugh out loud funny moments and just some good times to be had by all and very good moments. And again, I think the newcomer award of the year right now goes to Mia Isaac because she crushed it.
I think this movie could have actually been really bad if it had just focused on her and it was like, this girl stinks. But like there were a lot of nice it was like in your face. It was there. Like you didn't have to like dig for it. But I liked a lot of like the side commentary that was just on, her being a product of her environment, which is what Zoe Deutch said in our interview, is that like people around her are complete fucking trash. Like they're also like, spoiler alert, there's the end of the movie when she is arguing in her office with Rowan and everyone is filming it. And I'm like, you know what? And I like they didn't just point it out. You just kind of see it. If you take it, you know what it is. I guess nothing too crazy deep, but I like that. There was a lot of subtlety there that played well. And again, I thought that the script was sharp. Chris, I know you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. It's actually, I don't see it making my top 10 list or anything, but I did really enjoy this. I understand why it's divisive for some people. This is going to sound bizarre, but a movie that it reminded me of in some ways was actually Don't Look Up. And the reason I say that is because I think that both movies are extremely cynical about the modern age. Don't Look Up being more focused on politics, whereas this more focused on the social media age that we live in and trends and influencers. But I like that. I like movies that aren't afraid to point out stupidity of the modern age. I find like I relate to that, and I think it's cool. Zoe Deutch is excellent in this. I could have actually used a bit more Dylan O'Brien because I like him quite a bit. I think he's very talented. But I'm with you. This Mia Isaac girl was tremendous. I mean, that and really, that character was so necessary. You just brought it up, Jeff, because it's a very difficult thing to do when your main protagonist is this unlikable. And now Zoe Deutch is able to make it work because she, as a performer, is very charismatic, but there's not a second in which the movie forces you to sympathize with her. The movie acknowledges she's doing something that's really messed up and it's getting way too deep. And some people are really going to get hurt psychologically by this. And I thought that having a character like Mia Isaac's character who, like you could have made a spinoff movie just about her trauma. I feel like, especially with the performance that she gave and what she went through. I really, really liked their dynamic. I laughed, off and on. It's not a hilarious comedy. I don't think it's really trying to be something that's over the top with the comedic moments. But I don't want to get too spoilery necessarily. It has one of my favorite endings of the year because the one thing I was concerned about with this main character is that they were going to force a redemption in at the end.
Yeah.
That, she's actually a really good person. She's just misunderstood. And she has an arc, but she doesn't have a redemption. And I thought the movie actually showed a tremendous amount of subtlety in those last 5 minutes. And kind of left you with this message of like, hey, if you know a person who's been through, severe trauma and pain and torment, like, let them speak, let them have like their platform. It's very important that they do. So I thought that was brilliant. I have it at an 81. I think it's in terms of the technical elements, it's just kind of so. There's nothing from a directorial standpoint that stands out to me. Had this have been direct, had somebody like Adam McKay directed this, I think that it could have had a more flair to it. But as it is, it's a great streaming service movie and a solid movie in general. 81 out of 100.
That's a great point. It is for like streaming service movie, and I don't count like Roma and The Irishman in that, which maybe is unfair because maybe that's me just like cherry picking, but they're really like streaming service movies. Like, oh my god, just dime a dozen of complete fucking garbage. I like movies like this. And I always use Gone Girl. I'm not saying this is on the level of Gone Girl. Gone Girl was not her best picture, but like a movie where at the end you're like, oh, what the fuck? And like, not that you would have been happy that she got a redemption arc, but it's a negative ending. And I will always like, no, I guess we negative in a sense.
Yeah.
But like it subverts maybe expectation a little bit. And that's just something I will always appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I did see that kind of as her redemption, not like in the traditional sense, but like her understanding that her apologizing was just going to make her feel better.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to do anything for me, Isaac or Rowan, and understanding that it wasn't her place at that point. She applauded just leaves the theater. So I did kind of see that as a redemption for her, like personally. I give this movie a 70. I do like it. It just is missing kind of like an X factor to really punch it up towards the upper 80s, 90s. I don't know what that would have been. Maybe some more laugh out loud moments. I don't know. I think the 8th grade comparison's spot on. And I think that's where that audience score might be coming low. I feel like 8th grade is another movie where critics really loved it. And maybe the general audience, it just is so awkward at points where some people just can't do that. But yeah, no, Zoe Deutch, great. I will defend her in anything she does. Honestly, I love the project she picks. Always just interesting. Dylan O'Brien, it's always nice. It's nice to see him back acting. And he's kind of been on a little bit of a tear going to the outfit too. 70 for me. This was also kind of funny. It's like white women on Instagram, the movie. That's the best way to describe it. I feel like it's very, I know a lot of people that aren't this bad, but I think we all know people who are on Instagram and will co-opt, I'd say, a lot of things that happen in the world into their own personal narrative when they really don't need to.
It could have been me. I was there 2 years ago when this bombing happened. That could have been easily been me.
Yes.
Those people.
So, it was a very, I think the writing was very sharp. The girl who wrote it and directed it, she's very young.
Quinn Shephard, yeah.
Quinn Shephard. I think she's only 25, 26. So,
wow.
Which is a big reason why it had like it's you don't get. I just don't think you get a lot of these. Like there are movies sometimes or shows where you're like, oh, I think that's going to have a nice understanding of young people, and you're like, what the fuck, like that missed the mark.
She very clearly understood the subject matter. It very much came through that she
just down to like whitening strip like event that they went to, or the teeth whiteners,
Yes. 70 out of 100, but not a bad 70, a good 70.
Good. Again, this is a good stream. Like I wish any movie on a streaming service was just like this. Like, it has something to it.
This isn't something that really needed to be in theaters. It's not like The Gray Man where I feel like it would have benefited a ton from like having a big screen experience. I think this is good to watch at home.
Yeah,
you get those, and like we watch so many. I'd have to find some streaming service ones because it's there's not an easy way to do that. But there's just some streaming service movies that come out throughout the year. And you're like, did they just make this and said this is streaming trash? Toss it.
Home Team
now. Home Team, yeah.
God. The Bubble,
one of your favorites.
Rough.
The Bubble was really the Bubble was bad.
Trash.
I wish we would have reviewed it on here, man.
It was so bad.
Yeah, there's just some things that come out, and you're like, what the senior year with Rebel Wilson. Like there's just things you're like you can't convince me that they're not saying this is a streaming, like this is a movie that was made and they put it on streaming. That's what it feels like. There's a difference. Or something you're like that was made for streaming.
But what's bizarre is that what sucks about these though is that every so often you have one that you feel that way about that ends up being good. Like, did any of us think Chip and Dale was actually going to
no
shit? Like, and it was
a good point.
Chip and Dale ruled. I think
there's a different effort from Disney, though. Would you not agree? I'm not saying they're all good.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think that Disney Plus probably has a little bit of a better track record with that than say Hulu or HBO Max or any of the other big, or especially Netflix as well.
Lady and the Tramp, not great. I will say that was true. But
Right,
there seems Disney does have like a little bit of a. I know they're just sequels and prequels and remakes and whatever, but like there's a little different kind of edge there. I mean, Netflix is the worst offender. I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah,
by far.
I mean, Netflix puts things out that I don't think they promote sometimes.
It's to the point where like I can't get that excited for anything that they're like. I mean, the GDT, Guillermo del Toro, Pinocchio coming up. It's like the blonde. It's like you have these massive reservations now about projects that feel like they should be no brainers because it's just like they put stuff out and you're just like, what the fuck is this?
You can also stream The Tiger Rising, starring Dennis Quaid, Catherine McPhee, and Queen Latifah.
Catherine McPhee.
Yeah.
She's still making movies?
It's a bad movie. Ken Jack and I both watched The Tiger Rising.
Yep.
Dennis Quaid has a very, very dashing goatee in it, though.
Possibly Dennis Quaid. That was a long time ago. I forgot about that.
We did interview Dennis Quaid. That's right. Very early on in our time and in this office. Oh yeah, so we liked Not Okay quite a bit. I would suggest Not Okay. I think it's a very fun watch. Very fun watch. So go check that out on Hulu. Thank you again to Zoe Deutch for stopping in studio. Next time she's on, though, we will only be drafting chain restaurants.
Yeah, we got to reach out to her and see if she really. We really got to get her back and just do fast food stuff.
We will not talk about the movie.
She was so excited about that.
Yeah, that in the airports, man. We could do like a whole pod on that.
Next week, Bullet Train. Very pumped for that.
Hearing good things.
Yeah, very excited for Bullet Train.
Isn't it almost like 3 hours though, or did I misread that?
Good, fuck me up.
Make
me sit there for 3.5 hours. I don't care.
Great releases actually this weekend. You got Bullet Train, Bodies, and Prey.
Yeah,
Prey.
Good. You guys don't like it.
I haven't watched Prey yet. We have it as a screener. I've not watched it, which it's very sneaky. A part of the Predator. Like it's like kind of a weird like.
Well,
it's on Hulu, right?
It's going to be on Hulu. It's like a what do you call it, off branch of the Predator series or whatever. But like it is really, really good, easily and by far the best Predator movie since the original Predator movie. Like not even close.
It's odd though that they wouldn't
put it in theaters.
No, but not even that. Just like anytime those like that's part of that bucket of franchises where you're going to get a big marketing push on it.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah. Too hard.
Is Predator that viable anymore, though? I'm sure Prey is good, but like
should be. That's the thing. Like it should be one of the coolest franchises, but it's not because it's just there's so much. The market of it is flooded with Alien vs Predator and like the other that last Predators movie, which is so fucking terrible. The Boyd Holbrook one.
I actually kind of liked Predators, the 2010 movie with Adrian Brody.
The one with Adrian Brody.
I thought it was okay, but nothing amazing.
If I were to rank them, like it would be Predators or Predator, Prey, and then Predators. Like it would be like that in that order for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Predator 2 though.
The original Predator is so fucking awesome.
I rewatched it after watching Prey, or a little bit. No, it was a little bit after Friday because we were talking about with 80s movies, and I watched it on Saturday. It was so goddamn good.
I watched it on Friday. Right after we did our draft.
It's so fucking good, man. And it gets on Hulu, right? It's so good.
It's one of the few movies ever that features 2 state governors in it.
Yeah, true. Ventura and almost 3 because Sonny Lanham, who plays Billy, ran for governor of some state. I forget.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's it for Not Okay.